So you're thinking about moving to Denver, Colorado, but you don't want to be, in Denver, Colorado. Heck, you might not even know where you want to be. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you all about the city of Englewood to see maybe if that's a good fit for your move to the Mile High City. I'll go over some maps here in the computer and talk about some of the traffic patterns and some of the other kind of important things to know when you're living in Englewood. After we look at the map, we're going to kind of take a snapshot of the real estate picture here in Englewood and see if maybe that's the right fit for you. So if you are thinking metro a mile high, let's get started. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tim, and I help people better their lives through real estate choices. I moved to Denver myself in 2006 and really have experienced all sorts of things living in the Mile High City. When I moved here, friends with college would call me and ask me what it's like to live in Denver. And then a few years ago, I got into real estate, and those same people were asking me about moving to Denver. Some of those people knew where they wanted to be. Some of them kind of had a blank slate. Some of them something in between. I really loved helping them out and helping them wherever they wanted to be. And I would love to help you create a better life here in Denver. I would love to connect to you through text, email, or better yet, give me a call and we can chat. So whether you are moving this month, this year, this decade, shoot, even tomorrow, let me know how I can help you make a smooth move to altitude. Let's get into Englewood now.
The wider map, the city of Englewood, it is just over 6.5 square miles wide around, I guess. Packs all sorts of houses, businesses, manufacturing areas, and really just about anything else you might be looking for when you move to Denver. The city has been around for over 100 years, but really kind of started expanding into the mid to late 90s. There was a mall located right here, right in the center of the city. It's called the Cinderella City Mall. And actually they tore that down in 1999. In its place, they built City Hall, which is right here, right where the mall used to be. And there's really a great city center right around here. There's a museum there. There's a library, the Englewood Public Library is right here. And since they started building up this part of town, the whole town itself kind of grew. Just to put it in perspective, in the early 90s, the population started growing around 1% or so a year. But after the year 2000, it kind of started compounding. And right now, there's over 33,000 people packed into the town. It is a really, really great area for people who are moving from out of state. States like Missouri, Oklahoma, Idaho kind of popped to my mind at first. These people kind of want that small town kind of feel. It's really a great area, I think, for families because there's tons for kids to do. I mean, there's really, really good schools here. There are just parks everywhere, and the streets are somewhat quiet. So if people ask me about moving to Denver and they're moving with their smaller families, one of the first places that come to mind when I talk to them is Englewood. The homes are a little bit smaller, so they're the families with 1 or 2 kids, quite honestly. But the city itself isn't really subject to a lot of overdevelopment. A lot of the Denver area has a lot of development going on, and has for the last 15 years, I know for sure. I think that the fact that this is not overdeveloped makes Englewood a little bit more affordable than some of the other parts of town. It's not filled with all the $2 million plus mansions, dotted around some of the other metro areas, especially right to the east here. But the homes, they're solidly built. They're, I like to always say they have good bones in them. Let's take a look at the map exactly, kind of determine a little bit more about Englewood. So as we have the Denver metro area map here, Englewood, it's kind of right in the middle here. I mean, it's situated right in the bullseye. Major roads like Broadway, Santa Fe, Hamden, which is also called 285, they kind of run right through the heart of Englewood. Just looking at the neighboring cities, Denver is directly to the north. If you look down south here, there is Littleton and Highlands Ranch. Lakewood is off to the west out here, and the Denver Tech Center is just to the east. The Denver Tech Center kind of is encompassed by Greenwood Village. And like I said earlier, there is little towns. Cherry Hills Village is one of those areas that's home to, a lot of athletes and the ultra wealthy of town. Sheridan is just a little west of town. It's just all these little cities that kind of got the outskirts of Englewood. But honestly, you're really not far from any of the Denver metro area cities. Aurora's right up here. You got everything else, you get down 25, you get up north to cities like Thornton, Central Park, stuff like that. But let's take a closer look real quick about driving in and out of Englewood. Speaking of driving, if you have not checked out my video about driving in Denver, it's really a cool video. I actually videoed myself driving through or on the major roads in and around the city. And as I was doing that, I kind of talked about towns, the neighborhoods, and stuff to do on these main streets. And it was just a fun video to make, and I think it's really cool to watch because I sped up the video to like 100 times faster and kind of zipped around town. I don't know, it's just kind of cool. I will link it in the comments for sure, but I just want to check out. Sorry, I digress. You can kind of jump on Hamden going east here to 25, head north on 25. There is also Santa Fe here northbound. We jump on that right in the heart of the city here. That gets you to downtown as well. You can do Broadway downtown, where you kind of run into the Capitol right at Colfax. And there's other streets. If you go a little bit west, you can jump on to Federal to go downtown. Or if you want to go a little bit more east, jump on University to head downtown. If you're heading during the rush hour, your best bet is probably the Hamden 25 route. There's a little bit of sun glare in the morning as you head east on 285 Hamden here. It's not terrible. And as you are in Denver, you'll learn quickly about all sorts of sun glare. Once you get on 25, traffic is pretty all right until you get to like Alameda or 6th Avenue. There's a lot of congestion here because it's the beginning of the part of town that people in Denver call the Stadium Curve. The highway kind of curves around the football stadium, which is right here, and has always created some sort of congestion. I can't honestly explain why. I just know that there always is. And as you go around it, it kind of subsides for a little bit until you get into like the heart of like the downtown area right here. Overall, using the highway in the morning rush hour, I'd say half an hour or so. If you decide Santa Fe is your better option, you can add a couple, 5 more minutes or so. The main reason I say that is because there's an entrance ramp right here at Santa Fe and 25, and that is just a mess. They've redone the bridge 2 or 3 times, and I don't think anyone in Denver has quite gotten used to it yet. If you're going to take Broadway downtown in the morning, it's kind of a mess. And that's just because it's a 4-lane street all the way downtown, and obviously you have to deal with that and people turning on and off, and then the traffic lights are everywhere. So on average, I would say going from downtown Englewood to downtown Denver, it's going to run you 35 minutes or so on average. When you're heading home the evening rush, it's kind of the same deal. I would say Santa Fe might probably be the quickest. It's a wider road. You're not going to need as many traffic signals, and there's not as many people because most of the people that are jumping on Santa Fe from downtown are heading to the suburbs to like the west end of town. Santa Fe coming home maybe 20 minutes or so. Broadway, I would say 25 minutes or so. That's mainly just because of the traffic lights and the sheer volume of traffic. 25 going south, that's gonna be the slowest. I say that because there are major roads as you head south on 25. There is Evans and Yale and obviously Hamden right here where people are jumping on and off of. But the biggest problem is you are hitting all the traffic coming in and out of the tech center here. So, people are coming home from downtown, you're gonna hit them. Plus people are coming home from 225 or heading out of the tech center, you're just gonna get stuck in that traffic. I don't know. I mean, on 25, the slowest one, you're gonna maybe spend 35 minutes or so. If you are doing downtown on like a weekend or an evening or something like that, you say you can get in and out of downtown 20 minutes or so. It just kind of depends on which way you go, whether you take the highway or the side roads, and that all kind of depends on what's going on in town. I mean, if there's a football game or a big concert or something, you might want to avoid 25. If there is, an event at the Capitol, you might want to avoid Broadway. It's just gotta be aware of where you're at. But 20 minutes is a good time to kind of put on it to get in and out of downtown during a non-rush hour. A draw to living in Englewood really is the proximity to the Denver Tech Center. I mean, it's really less than 15 minutes, no matter what time of day you go. You can jump up Hamden and head east on Hamden. There is some spillover traffic if you're on the southern end of Englewood. You can jump on Bellevue going up. If you're not familiar with the tech center, there is all sorts of office buildings that obviously cater to the technology industry. Dish Network, their world headquarters, are just here on the very southern end of the tech center. Inside here, there are some Ring Central offices. Aero Electronics corporate offices are right down here as well. Zoom has a really big office presence here, which to me is ironical. Western Union, actually, just in the last 3 or 4 years, have built a huge campus just east of Englewood, right here on Bellevue and 25. And again, in terms of traffic, your main road is Hamden. Bellevue, has a little bit if you're on the southern end of town. Remote work has really kind of helped to ease a little of the traffic into and out of the tech center, but there's still just a volume of cars. But it seems like a lot of people that are coming into the tech center kind of has their own little tips and tricks and detours to take side roads to bend around. And there's always people that have timed it out. If you leave 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes later, that you can get into the tech center quicker from Englewood or out of the tech center to Englewood. Finally, if you're heading up to the mountains, Englewood, it's also pretty straight shot. You could always go jump on 25 north and then go out to 70 going west. Some other people take 285 going right out of town all the way up into the mountain. It's actually really beautiful drive as you wind up through the mountains up there. If you pass through little towns like Morrison and loop around to some of the really windy, beautiful roads, really in the country. If you're not interested in that scenic route, you could also hook up with 470 at 285 here. And then you just take that westbound 70 the rest of the way. You're planning to ski resorts start, I don't know, about an hour or so from Englewood. Loveland is the closest, I would say. Echo Mountain really has some really good spots for beginner skiing. And then as you go up a little bit more, there is Arapahoe Basin. And then even more so than that, spots like, Breckenridge, Vale, they're a little bit further away, maybe up to 2 hours or so. Traffic getting up there to the mountain, it's relatively clear. If you're going up on Friday or Saturday or Sunday evening, coming home, you want to plan a little extra time because that's when everyone else is doing the same thing. Everyone else is heading up Friday afternoon or Saturday morning and heading down on Sunday afternoon. So just be aware of that. But really, traffic is not that bad to and from the mountains out of England. Closer view of the map here. You see up on the north end here, the kind of major northern border is Evans. Then it kind of quickly zigzags down to Yale, where then it meets up with University. University, you hit up with it just south of Denver University. Well, that's not in Englewood. It's just, kind of a marker to know about. As you go down south, a mile or so on University, that's where you're going to come up to 285 Hamden. If you head west on Hamden for, I don't know, a mile or so, you're going to hit up with Clarkson. You could take the border kind of goes down Clarkson to Bellevue. At Bellevue, city kind of winds and weaves through parts of the neighborhoods in this southern part of the Englewood area. You're kind of intermixing with Littleton here. I mean, I used to live in Littleton right on the corner or right on the border here. And depending on what side of the street, told you what city you were in. If you were on the east side of the street, you might be in Englewood, or if you're on the northern side of the street, you might be in Littleton. And it's just kind of a funny thing about the Englewood area. Anyway, then it's going to wind down here and hit up with Federal. Federal kind of is the western border of Englewood. It juts all the way kind of east from there to US 85, which is also Santa Fe. As you go down Santa Fe, it kind of creates a city boundary that follows north until you hit Hampton again. And then it kind of, scurries around Zuni here and then eventually hits up to meet up with Evans again. City Hall is right here, kind of on the corner of Hampton and Santa Fe. Right here, it's really a neat area. There's a library here. There's a cultural center, all kind of within the City Hall complex. There's a super Walmart, all sorts of, just other little independent shops and stuff like that. There's an IHOP, all sorts of that. Just to the east of here is the hospital district. Swedish Medical Center is just right here on the east side of Broadway. It is actually a level 1 trauma center. It has a really good neurosciences department and a state-of-the-art cancer center. Just next to Swedish is the world-renowned rehab hospital. They actually specialize only in neurorehabilitation and spinal cord injuries, specifically for like traumatic brain injuries and stuff like that. That is Craig Hospital right here. I pointed out earlier, there is Pirates Cove. It's down here, kind of on the southwestern side of Englewood. It is kind of a little water park. It is right in the middle of Bellevue Park. The railroad cuts right through town here. Not surprisingly, there's a pretty big industrial complex right along here. kind of next to the railroad there. There is a brewery right here on Broadway and Camden right here. It's called Brewability. It actually hires exclusively adults with disabilities. Gothic Theater is right here on Broadway. It's a huge, huge concert venue. They have all sorts of national acts come to Englewood all the time, really. And then also, down all up and down South Broadway here, there's all sorts of independent shops and restaurants and just really cool kind of hometown feel to it along South Broadway. So when you talk neighborhoods, Englewood, as the recurring theme is, it's kind of got that small town vibe to it. I would personally call it like a Midwestern feel to it. There's not tree lined, exactly cookie cutter houses, but each house has a little different flair and different size yards and different size houses and stuff like that. And also they are kind of all centered around churches, schools, and parks. As we go down like streets like Logan and Pearl on the eastern side of Broadway here, they're relatively small ranches, generally 2 to 3 bedrooms or so. Pretty small yard. Some have basements, some don't. Average price point on the eastern side, around 400,000. There's an occasional home that is, kind of pop the top or scraped and built a brand new, bigger home, but not tons of them. As you go on the western side of Broadway, it's really kind of the same thing. Streets like Cherokee and Tacoma, there's smaller houses, generally two beds, maybe sometimes 3, depending on if the basement was finished. And there's 1 or 2 bathrooms. All of the streets here are, less busy streets and sidewalks on both sides of the street. It's just a really, really great neighborhood for families with younger kids. Specifically, I love the Bellevue Park neighborhood. It's right here, kind of just to the north of the park on Bellevue here. It's kind of a private neighborhood. It's got a little wooded area around it. Just on the north-hand side of Hamden here, a little bit bigger homes, I would say. Then you kind of start the 3 to 4 bedroom area. Price point there kind of jumps up 100,000 or so to that $500,000 price point.
That really kind of gives us a pretty good overview of the state of Englewood. I hope you found this video to be helpful when considering move to Englewood. And also, if you're in Englewood or lived here before and have any input or want to point things out that I might have missed, make sure you comment below, and it kind of helps me out for other people wanting to get more information about the city, and it helps me put out better and more accurate information. I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel below, push the bell for notifications, give the video a thumbs up, really. If you want to get into a deeper dive in Englewood, or really anywhere in Colorado, make sure you email me, shoot me a text, or best yet, give me a call. Whether you are moving this week, this month, this year, this decade, or even tomorrow, I would love to help you make a smooth move to altitude.